www.fullblastradio.com. This is Off the Corner. I'm Rollo, and today we have a special guest, one of my favorite people, bringing him in on the tail end of Black History Month. We got brother Agyei. Peace and power, brother Agyei.
Peace, good brother.
We getting a little feedback. I don't know if you have a speaker open. Okay. Anyway, brother Agyei is an author, an activist, an educator, a scholar, and he's actually the author of Truth for Our Youth, which is a book we kind of touched on last time. That was your last book, brother Agyei?
I think the last book was My 2 Cents.
My 2 Cents. Okay. And then you got new work out now. Tell us about the new book. What can you tell us about that?
Man, quick question, can I share stuff on here?
Share meaning like share the video?
Yeah.
I believe you can. You trying to share it on Facebook?
I think I can share. No, I think I can share this PowerPoint so people can see what I'm talking about when I'm saying it.
I believe you can. I wouldn't know how to do that. Tiger can help you. Tiger, you on mute.
Yeah, look. Okay. Check this out.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I can add it to the stream. Mm-hmm.
See that?
Oh, dope. Okay. I can see that.
Oh nope, that's the wrong one. My bad. Give me 1 second. But while I'm doing that, let me just say, is that the book is called Leadership, Philosophy, Ethics, and Practice. And basically what it's about is trying to clarify some things regarding leadership. I think there's confusion. I think there's a lot of brothers and sisters doing wonderful work all around the country and the world. Grassroots, boots on the ground, all hands on deck work in every conceivable way. However, I also think that there's great confusion amongst people as to what leadership is, what it does, and how it's supposed to do it. Right. So one of the things that's some of the reason I wrote the book, to clarify some things, to give some guidance to people who aspire to be leaders, and to give a little bit of reinforcement and some wisdom to people who are already in leadership but want to be better in their leadership.
Okay, I think that's an excellent point. Now, we all both know who Charles Barron is, elected official here in New York. For the people that may not be watching this in New York, they might be in another state. Charles Barron is an assemblyman here, and he was he says not former Black Panther, but current Black Panther, but he was involved with the Black Panther Party early on. And he said something I thought was very profound. He said, and it expounds on something you just touched on. He said, true leaders don't seek followers. They create other leaders. Do you agree with that?
Well, yes, to a point. I think that the people that I would most credit with creating leaders are organizers, community organizers. Go out and instead of running the show, doing the public speaking, leading the rally, leading the press conference, they teach people in the community how to do those things. So to me, I would say a community organizer or a leader with a community organizing mentality understands that it's not about he or she running the show. They're always building capacity in the community. They're not trying to do everything and hoard all responsibility. They're always sharing it because they know that when people say, could you do this for me? They push back. They push back because they know if they do everything, the community won't be able to do anything. Feel me?
Sure.
So leaders are always trying to build up the community. They're pushing back, constantly pushing back. We don't need you to do that, sister. We need you to do that, brother. You write well. You can be the editor of the thing. I can't do everything.
Right. So, leadership, as it relates to leadership, we actually just passed the birthday of one Mr. Huey P. Newton on February the 17th, which was this past Thursday. And Huey Newton understood number 6 of the 6 jewels of self-sufficiency, which is self-defense. Would you consider Huey P. Newton to be a good leader?
Well, I'm not, just so people know, I want to frame my book properly. It's not my contention that I'm qualified to give people the whole score sheet on who's a good leader, who's not a good leader. I think the conversation is a lot more complicated and nuanced than that. Like, were they good or not? It's a lot more to it than that. Were they effective? Were they efficient with resources? Did they communicate well? Did they build a groundswell of capacity? Did they have branches in different parts of the country in the world? It's a lot of questions. But I would say this: I automatically give respect to people who've done what I have not. I'm that type of brother. I'm not too big. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna give Huey P. Newton, all the brothers and sisters in the 60s and before that. Of course, I'm gonna give them credit. They've all done what I have yet to do.
Right.
I'm not even a fingernail worth towards what they've done. So on GP, I'm gonna give them credit for that. But I don't know if I'm can answer was he a good leader or not. But I think the fact that he and Bobby Seals, they were part of a time of a movement. So it wasn't even just him; it's a whole national movement going on. And then you have the African independence movement, but you also got the Black Power movement coming off the heels of the Civil Rights movement that's mentally feeding these young people. They're going to the Black Student Union classes at Merritt Junior College. They're getting fed. So they're part and parcel of all the Black kids in the 60s that are kind of surrounded on all sides by this Black Power movement, inspired by Malcolm X, who was killed in 65, a year before the movement started. So they all were inspired by Malcolm and Robert F. Williams and all these things going on, the Black Arts movement. So I said, when you put it in the context, he played his position like he's supposed to. He carried on the tradition of those before him, so he gets respect for that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think him and Bobby Seale did an excellent job at capturing the imagination of youth across the nation. And I think they were effective in that way. And I think that that's significant because you have to capture the minds of the people. You have to be able to appeal to them in some way. And I think Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton did an excellent job of that. And Huey P. Newton was very well versed in the law. You know, he can repeat things for verbatim off the top of his head from the law book. And he stood up to the beast. I mean, this was the 1960s where, you know, you would hear stories about the segregated South. Like, so for example, I heard a story in the segregated South. It was a gentleman who was either in World War I or World War II. This was before desegregation and the desegregation of the buses. And so brother paid his fare, took a seat on the bus. He sat in the front. Because he was in the military, he felt, hey, you know what? I have some amount of, not entitlement, but some amount of right to sit where I want to if I put my life on the line for the country. So, of course, the bus driver stopped the bus and told me he had to give up his seat. He refused to. They called the police. The police came, shot him dead in front of everybody, in front of, in broad daylight. And so for Huey P. Newton to stand up to the police the way he did, I think that was very brazen, and I think that was very courageous of the brother to not only do that, but start a whole organization to create other Huey P. Newtons with that same type of a mentality.
If I could just jump in, I want to actually add to that. If anyone could see the cover of my book, that's coming out in 2 days, by the way.
Okay.
2/22/22. Those who know the power of numbers know that's a powerful number scheme right there. 2/22/22. Right? If people could see the cover of my book, they would see there's 30 leaders on the cover of that book. Why do I say this? Because this is my whole point. This is not the Matrix. You know, people, the Christian religion, the movie The Matrix pushes this idea of the one, the one Messiah, the one great. Nah, man, that doesn't work in real life. What happens is there may be a few that are charismatic, speak well, look good, smell good. They have a certain posture and physicality that attracts people. But the truth is they're part of organizations and movements. So I wanted to capture in the book on the very cover, man, I got Amilcar Cabral. I got sister, forget her name, wife of Robert F. Williams. I got Amiri Barak. I got Amos Wilson. I have Queen Mother Moore. I got Kwame Ture and Kwame Nkrumah. I got a good ancestor, Herman Ferguson, Brother Malcolm, and his wife, Dr. Betty Shipp. I mean, so Dr. John Henry Clark. I'm trying to set a tone, even when you pick up the book and look at the cover, that this is about not about individual superstars. This is about championship teams. We got a lot of individual superstars. I will not name any names that do wonderful work. Some of them are fraudulent. But what we need are championship teams. We need divisions of championship teams, leagues of championship teams, so that one person doesn't have to score 60 points every night. You feel me? That a whole team is contributing. Families are teams. Blocks are teams. Communities are teams. Because what's happening is that other ethnic groups are coming to this country, coming from very poor situations, very hungry and eager to work and be industrious. And they're coming here and they're thinking as teams. They're not thinking, I'm going to blow up. And we're still on that individual superstar thing. And I see other people coming here, man, they teaming up, bro. And because they're teaming up, that means cooperative economics. That's what they're doing. They're pooling their little bit of money. But when they all 50 of them put that little bit of money together, that money adds up. When they living in a house together, they're saving money. And then slowly but surely, one peels off, gets their own apartment. I see it every day. I see how they get down. And I think one of the things with this is I want people to understand that every great person on the cover of this book, or any great leader you can talk about, they did not exist in a vacuum. They had jugglers who taught them. They made mistakes. They had misjudgments. Sometimes they were afraid and in doubt. They had a team. Many of them, if they were men, had strong sisters right there. If they were sisters, they had strong men right there. And as a village, we worked together. And that's what made it work. Because a leader can only go so far as a community. If the community doesn't roll with you, then it doesn't matter what you're talking about or I'm talking about. So I really wanted to make sure that we understand, at least where I'm coming from, is that this is not about individual superstars. This is about we trying to win. You know what I'm saying? So some nights, brother, you're going to score 30 points and have 15 assists. And some nights I'm going to do that. But the point is that we all have the capacity to do that. We're not dependent on one or two people in our neighborhood. That charismatic leadership has its limits.
Absolutely. Now you talked about people pooling and aggregating their resources and going further and economically. Now to do that, you have to have trust. And among us as a community, we don't have that trust factor like other groups. So like, what would a leader have to say or do to generate that trust among us so that we can begin to pool our money and act in one accord as a group?
Well, one of the things that I talk about in the book, one of the chapters is talking about the importance of morale. And it's something I think people overlook when they think about leadership. But morale is simply that feeling of loyalty, that feeling of love, that feeling of belonging, that feeling of when I'm in this meeting, in this building with this organization, I feel special, like I belong to something bigger than myself. And therefore, I'm going to get on the phone, tell everybody about the meeting tonight. I'm going to cook food for the meeting tonight. I'm going to solicit donations for the organization. That's what morale does. It makes people come and feel good. They want to help. They want to volunteer. They want to wear their button, their hat. You feel me? Their dashiki that represents the organization or the movement. So my thing is that one of the ways we build morale is by creating what I call a culture of love and service. You can't have morale if people don't feel listened to, or if people feel that they have no input. If women are feeling that their only role at the meeting is to bake the cakes and make the cookies and pour the lemonade, that's not going to work. Or if people are stealing and doing egregious violations to the organization and there's no one's holding them accountable. So a few of the things people have to do is have tight bylaws. They have a system of protocols and rules. They know who we are, what we fighting for against, why we're here, and how we fight. They have to have procedures and protocols in place. Why? Because this makes people feel safe. Things become predictable. People that everyone has a responsibility. Everyone knows what everyone's responsibility is. When emergencies happen, people ain't going crazy. They have a protocol. People calm. People start to feel safe and trust. If somebody steals money from this organization, if somebody is inappropriate with a sister or brother, they get addressed. So people feel like, wow, that's serious. That builds morale. When this organization says they're having an event, a meeting, or they're going to render some type of initiative to the community, they do it every time. They keep their word. That develops trust. So all of these things kind of go to building that type of morale. But the key thing for me is creating a culture of love and service, meaning that when people come to my meeting, I'm not going to judge them if they have on a dashiki like me or not. Oh, you don't have your mud cloth on? Or sister, you can't come up in here.
Mm.
Brother, you don't speak 18 African languages? Oh, no. You can't come up in here. Brother, you didn't change your European name to an African name? Oh, brother, you can't come. No. We don't, at least I don't support that. My organization, Harlem Liberation School, we don't do that. We understand that, we have people like Nat Turner. He didn't change his name to an African name, right?
Right, that's correct.
And he wore the clothes that the slave master made available to him.
That's right.
But these things didn't determine his Africanity. This did.
That's right.
The way he thought, right? So these are the type of things that you try to do. You don't beat people up. You don't belittle the people. You don't harass the people. You don't blame the people for being deaf, dumb, and blind. Because if we study, we know all of us are deaf, dumb, and blind. All of us were bitten by the dog of white supremacy to some degree. It's just a different degrees of it, right? So we have empathy. Is my point. We don't beat up the brother who's ignorant. We don't beat up the 85%, even though we want to sometimes. God knows, want to break their neck sometimes. But we understand why they're 85%. We understand
victims.
Who miseducated them, who socialized them, who got their priorities twisted. They running chasing the wrong things, running the wrong way, right? They saying they want this, but doing the exact opposite. We know why they like that. So that means we, the leaders, have to have that E word, my brother, empathy. We have to say, man, you backwards as hell in your mind, but we're gonna work with you. We maybe I was a little backwards too at a point in my life. We're gonna work with this brother or this sister, So that love and service is key. When people know you love them, that you're not judging them, that you're empathetic with them, and that you're here to serve them, you got the people, man. You got the people. So for me, that's the key. I could name other things, but to me, that's the key. That's the foundation.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of people don't care what you know until they know that you care. So most people will not pay full attention to you until you can actually show them that you care. Now, in my book, the fact book, I quoted you in the book, but before I quoted you in this section on leadership, I talked about what is referred to as the 6 jewels of leadership. Number 1 of the 6 jewels is historical connectedness. Like, it's important for us to be connected to our history and understand this concept of Sankofa. Number 2 is touches on something you just said. A leader has to be intelligent, but he also has to have compassion for the people that he's leading. Number 3 is Injia, which is victorious thinking. That's the concept of having revolutionary optimism. Dr. Kaba said it's not over until we win, having that revolutionary optimism. Number 4 is shifting paradigms. So you talked about, the 85%. Going from being 85 to somebody that is conscious. That's a paradigm shift, something we have to be conscious of. And then Harambe is teamwork, which means we have to pull together. And Ndaba, which is a South African or Zulu word, it means like to converse for community upliftment. Do you think those 6 tenets are important and key to leadership when you're leading a people?
Well, obviously, brother, yeah. Is that a trick question?
No.
Yeah.
I'm saying that.
I'm joking.
Answer. I'm just saying
I'm
that
joking.
maybe just
of course,
this
they're important. They're very important. This is we're getting into ethics. See, this is why the book is called Leadership Philosophy, Ethics, and Practice. We got to have all 3. The philosophy is the theory that undergirds why we're doing what we do, what we're doing, who we're doing it for, right? The practice is the actual operationalizing the theory on the ground, boots on the ground. But in between those two, we got to talk about the ethics. So what you I believe, referring to is the ethical part. Okay, how do we lead the people? In what manner do we address the people? Right? And so that's when we get into empathy and compassion and things like that. So yes, absolutely.
Now, do you in your new book talk about the 7 essential elements of a successful organization and a successful leadership? Because you talked about like how you must have an organization, organizations and leadership have members and supporters and so forth. Did you touch on that in this book?
In this book, I didn't touch on that as much because I found that I had to go more basic than that. I have to. I actually talked about things like leadership is, leadership ain't. First chapter, to let it be known, to set the tone that leadership is not bossing people around. It's not having a title. It's not having a special call you pull up to the meeting in. It's not having a pass to be intimate with every sister in the organization. That's not leadership. And that's gotten confused. Leadership is dealing with helping people to think critically about their lives and their situations, helping people to develop goals and to strategize, and then organizing and mobilizing them to solve their problems and to meet those or to reach those goals. That's what leadership is about: organizing people and ideas to reach goals, to solve problems, to be liberated, to be properly educated, to be fed and housed and whatever, so on and so forth. So I start there, and that's important because I think people assume that because they understand something that the masses do. And that's a tragic mistake. A lot of people, let me explain. A lot of people get into leadership for the wrong reasons off the jump. You didn't get enough hugs and kisses. You feeling real insecure. You don't feel very intelligent. You don't feel attractive. Oh, you see that the leaders get attention. People clap for them. People come out. So some people are drawn to leadership because they have a need to be seen or a need to be heard or rubbed in the back. Oh, that was a great speech. Or you see, and for those people, we as a community have to be strong enough to tell them, I think you need therapy. I don't think leadership is a thing for you. You need to
Right.
go somewhere with a professional who can help you understand and appreciate and love yourself first, and know yourself and love yourself first, right? Then you got the people that just want the attention, Okay, that's cool, but now you're in the wrong field too. You have to go into entertainment. Right? That you want to you want people clapping for you and buying your t-shirts, and that you need to be a singer or a dancer or a music artist or an athlete.
Right.
But if you're a person who is righteously indignant at the injustices perpetrated on our people, who has a sense of how beautiful we are and could be if we were free and liberated, and you want to do something about it, and you're prepared to do the work, the study, the commitment, the building relationships in the community, then leadership is for you. And so I'm very clear on making sure people know what it is and also what it isn't, so there's no confusion.
Sure.
We get into a lot. We also get into like we said, what is morale and how to raise morale. We get into not just make good decisions, like our parents said, make a good decision, but
Do the right thing.
they didn't tell us how. What's the process of making a good decision? What are the questions one want to ask oneself when making a decision? So we get into that. I liken it to playing a game of chess. The same questions that a good chess player asks throughout the game is the same questions that you ask it before making a good decision.
That's correct.
Getting people into that habit. We talk about also how to vet people. Our organizations, sometimes, as much as we may talk about white folk being our enemy, and they are, in fact, we also have to understand that we can learn things from enemies and opponents too. We can look at them and say, "Oh, we need to take notes on how they have intelligence. They gather intelligence on their enemies, so they know how the enemies move, how they think, where they eat, where they go, right? So they can sabotage them. We don't have that type of intelligence apparatus. We're usually the victims of somebody's intelligence apparatus,
or counterintelligence.
That's right, because we're not thinking. We need to be doing that ourselves. And I just lost my point, but I got a million things in my head. Oh man, I just
You're talking about morale, the concept of morale in leadership, and teaching the concept of morale in an organization.
Oh, I think I was talking about making decisions, morale, and was something else. Oh yeah, making decisions like a chess player, right? Like a chess player is going to study the enemy's moves. He's constantly asking, why did he move there?
Exactly.
Is a piece of mine threatened? So before you move, you looking all at your pieces. Can I threaten one of his pieces? If I threaten it, is it worth the exchange? Am I giving up more value than he is? All of those questions are offensive or defensive questions. And the same way you do it for chess, you can do it in life. You can do it in real life.
Absolutely.
You know, so we teach that process. I think I was talking about because my computer kind of froze. I can't get to my files I was looking at. But one of the things we talk about is how to vet people. Yes, vetting people is doing that investigation of background so you can determine if a person is a good fit for your organization, institution, or your workplace. White people will not let you up in their institutions without vetting you. You know, we all been vetted. It was called a job interview, and we had to provide a resume and some references and some receipts. They want to know, do you have experience doing this job that we do? You know, they want to know, okay, that's what you're telling us, but now we're going to go call some people because you might be lying to us or exaggerating, right? So we need to do that. We typically don't do that. But if you love yourself, then you're going to hold yourself to high standards. If you love the community, you're not just going to have this any popcorn peanut Negro in front of them. Straight like that. You're going to take that so seriously, you're going to vet people. You're going to vet officers of your organization. You're going to vet members of your organization so that you know that the people coming in are coming in with certain integrity, certain background, you know, certain characteristics. So we get into vetting, and then we teach what I have a thing I call the rigid process of how you vet, right? Because what I'm trying to move us from is a lot of rhetoric. We need to do this, we need to do that. Okay, how do we do that, right? How do we operationalize that? So yes, we need to vet, but how do we do that? What are the steps in that? So we get into that. It's really I would like to think, man, a good mix of theory, again, ethics, how we move, and giving people some actual directives of to how to do certain things. Protocol. We get into the importance of protocol and the benefits of it, and what happens when you don't have protocol. And we give suggestions for types of protocol every organization should have. You know, I've been a school teacher for many years, and I created a middle school about 21 years ago. And one thing you'll know teachers will tell you is that they don't wait for a fire to come and then decide who's running out what exit. They have fire drills anticipating that there may be a fire. That's a protocol. So now if there is a fire, the kids and the teachers know, don't get your coats. Don't get your coats, because you freezing your behind off is better than you dying in the building trying to get your coat. Secondly, our classroom goes down that staircase. That classroom goes down that staircase. You feel me? So a lot of things we say, oh yeah, I know that, but we don't know that. This is what my father was good at. My father was real good. He told me, I know that. He said, no, you don't. I said, how you say that? He said, because if you knew it, you would do it. So look, I could say this to a million black people. Oh yeah, brother, all that in the book. Yeah, I know that already. Like, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because if you knew it, you do it.
That's right.
I don't see no black organizations out here vetting people to be officers, vetting people to be members of the order. They just take people who come in. Right?
That's
the white
true.
man don't do that for his military, do he? He put
Sure
behind through a process.
That's right.
You too weak to get through a basic training by?
Yeah, you can't.
You ain't fight for us. And you can't run, and you can't jump, and you can't swing, and you can't shoot. So we have to get to a place where we love ourselves so much, and we take our liberation so seriously that we move different and we think different, all with compassion and love and empathy, but we move differently. We take things more serious. We're less careless and we're more careful, you know?
Now, you mentioned morality more than once, and in the list that I just gave, it talks about the importance of historical connectedness. Do you talk about morality as it relates to Ma'at and Ubuntu and some of these African-centered moral, ethical cores that we deal with as African people?
Yes and no. Those people who know me know that I'm 53. When I was like maybe around 20 years old, I was very regimented and rigid. And if people didn't, if their hair was permed or they had blonde streak in their hair or they didn't have African name I just wrote them off. I was hard, you know. So, but what I've learned in life is that that's not how the real world is. The real world is complex and nuanced. Some people you would never know. They look like a Mr. Magoo. They look harmless. They walking down the street, they're quiet. And meanwhile, this brother or sister knows 8 martial arts and can kill you with their bare hands. But you're judging them on a false assumption of what a killer looks like.
That's true.
We in the conscious community do the same, and it's a critical error. So no, you're not gonna hear me necessarily always giving you concepts in Kiswahili or that come from a cultural nationalist position. But if you listen to what I'm saying,
it's in it.
If you listen to what I'm saying, it's just that's the foundation, right? But I may not say this comes from my act, this comes from this. I'm giving people, like for instance, if we had a school, you say you had a school that was an African centered, and you had a school that didn't call itself African centered, right? But their goal was to raise Black, African, and New African children that had knowledge of self, that took care of their minds and bodies, and were training to be warriors on behalf of their people's liberation. That is really what we want at the end of the day. Whether you call it Umoja Shule and I call it Harlem Liberation School. What? Same thing?
That's true.
I don't get caught up in that. But if people read with an open Black mind, they're gonna see they're gonna feel what's coming. They're gonna feel it. It's real. It's real talk, and it's all embracing. One of the things in the chapters is unity without uniformity. This is important.
Explain that.
Huh?
I said explain that.
Yes, sir. Unity without uniformity. Okay. So you think about how are white people for so many decades so easily able to infiltrate Black organizations? How is this possible? And you hear about what happened with Panthers and what happened with Republican New Africa and what happened with the Revolutionary Action Movement, what happened with the Civil Rights Movement. So you're like, what's going on? Well, one of the things is that our people sometimes had a very, how do I want to say, a very unnuanced view of who was with the revolution, right? So if the dude had on dark glasses and the dashiki and was loud and talking about blowing up stuff, sometimes we thought, oh, that brother's dead. The brother come in with the little khaki suit from his job and the earth shoes. We tended to think He don't have no medallions on. He ain't wearing no buttons. He ain't talking about the pig. He's not down, right? And that's one of the things that sets us up for infiltration. I like a lot of this stuff in the book. I bet you people are gonna smack this up. Like, yeah, I knew this, but I didn't know it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, yeah, this is common sense. So, in other words, at what point did people say, yo, we have an overly simplistic way of gauging who's conscious? We have to move away from that because it's literally getting our organizations infiltrated. What do I mean? So they send in a Negro whose job it is to destabilize the organization. And what does he have to do to get in good with the organization?
Show up. Oh, he got to dress the part.
Dress the part, put on his frankincense and sandalwood and his beads, and his medallion and his ankh ring, and all these things. He has to talk a little bit, throw a little bit of African language at you, throw a few African-centered concepts, and now we like, oh, that brother, yeah, he's that. Now that brother is an agent for the U.S. government sent to destroy your organization. This is what I'm talking about. But if people had a more balanced understanding, we got to get to know people. We can't look at somebody and know their consciousness. Anybody can spit anything. That doesn't mean that they believe it and walk it and live it, right? But because we're so, you got to be this way and sound this way, we're ripe for infiltration. We are ripe for infiltration. But if we were more discerning, if we were less rigid like that, and we knew we had to build relationships to get to know people, and we knew the right questions to ask and the right tests and trials to put people through. Hello, holla if you heard me. Tests and trials to put people through, then we wouldn't be getting infiltrated so easily. This is why gangs don't let you come. Like, you never see a gang or student organization be like, well, you look muscular, you look strong, and you got a mean face. Come on, join us. This dude could be a big punk. They don't know. They can't judge that. So what do? They send him on a mission. He has to prove himself. First of all, they're going to jump him in the gang. They're going to have him run through the gauntlet like a Soul Train line. There's going to be 30 dudes with sticks and bottles and chains hitting them, kicking them, whatever. So first one is, can he get through that? Can he take a good beating? Or is he going to run? Is he going to say, no, if I got to do this, I don't want to join. So first thing they're doing is testing his heart and his stamina and his durability. And will he fight back? Then they send him on things, missions. They're testing, putting him through test and trial to see who he really is. You'll never know who somebody really is if they have not been tested and tried. Ever. And this is why in the old school, for me, old school would be 80s. Depending on your age, old school has a different meaning.
That's just.
But in my old school days, the elders would put you through trials and tests. You say, oh, so you want to be you represent consciousness and nationalism and God? Yeah, I want to know more. You want to know more? You want me to work with you? Yes, sir. I want to. Okay. And brother might give you 10 books. He might be like, all right, here's a list. Go to the library, get these 10 books. And on this date at this time, we're going to talk about it. He's giving you a test and a trial because he knows if you're serious, you're going to get them books. You're going to go through them books. We're not finish all of them. You're going to skim them, and you're going to come back to him, he or she, ready to have a meaningful conversation. But if you're not, you're going to come with a million, oh, this happened, and the excuses, right?
Right.
So this is what's key. I'm trying with the book. What I'm trying to do, good brother, I'm trying to raise points that we're overlooking. I'm not trying to say what everybody's saying. I'm trying to raise the things that we're not talking about enough that's actually leading to the destruction of our communities, that we have to talk about this. We have to talk about how do we set up structures to produce the type of leaders that we can trust. Not just trust that they're not going to try to talk to our women or, steal our money, but stuff like trust that when they say there's a meeting and it's this time it's going to be a meeting at this time. When they say that they're inclusive, they're going to really be inclusive. They're going to take advice and input from the community, not just move on their own on solo mission, right? So you can only get that when you test and try people. I'm going to say this over and over so we understand. You got to test and try people. This is why the secret societies, all of them, test and try. You are pledged in. You are initiated in. Otherwise, they can't vouch for you. They don't know if you're going to fight. They don't know if you're going to run like a chump. They don't know if you understand what's going on, if you're conscious or not. So these are some of the things that we address in the book, man. Yeah.
Okay, so I know you say your computer's jamming up on you, but what are some of the other titles and topics in the book?
Oh man. So yeah, we have something called Leaders Are Turtles, Not Hares.
Meaning?
And those of you familiar with Aesop, who was an African brother, his one of his fables, one of the most famous was the tortoise and the hare. Tortoise is a turtle, hare is a rabbit, essentially. And you know the story, the hare or the rabbit was super duper fast. He challenged the turtle to a race. He was very smug and very arrogant and condescending to the turtle. Everyone assumed the turtle moves like oatmeal up a hill, very slow. So the rabbit, the hare, took off, was probably a mile ahead of this turtle, right? And then he's like, man, I'm so far ahead of this little dumb, clunky, slow turtle. I'm going to go to sleep. Man, this dude will never catch up. So he goes to sleep. So the arrogant, cocky, presumptuous, he assumes the wrong thing, right? The turtle, on the other hand, not flashy. He ain't sexy and glamorous, right? He ain't loud and he's just quiet, unassuming, unpretentious, and he works hard consistently, and he stays focused. He don't let stuff or all around the race distract him. He's staying focused on that goal of getting across the line, and he stays focused to the degree that he crosses the finish line. The hare is still waking up from his nap, and now the slowpoke turtle has beat him, and it's too late for him to recover. And the point of that is that people who don't have the talents of other people, the natural skill, the showboatsman, the charisma, but they work hard, they're diligent, they show up every day, and they give their all. As we say in football, they leave it all on the field. They're going to win every time, right? And so when I say leadership is more like a turtle than a hare, it's to let people know who are not familiar. When you get into this is what you're getting into. This ain't going to be, it looks sexy on TV. It looks, and on the news, you see the person in a nice suit or dress. They looking nice. They got an entourage and they got power, and the media's taking the picture. It looks really good. And they smooth when they breaking down what they breaking down. But what you don't see is that person, as you see talking, was up for 18 hours that day. Got up maybe 2, 3 in the morning, was going over notes, was making calls, was doing emails, was catching up on old business, was preparing for the meeting to come, right? All of that. You see the end result. You, not you, brother. I'm talking about
Not
you,
you.
us. Sees the end result, but doesn't know all the work that went into that. And that work was self-sacrificial. So it's letting people know, if you want leadership, beautiful. Because leadership, we need more leaders. But you do need to know that the parties, the retreats, the fun, the champagne, the this, the that, that's the minority of the time. The vast majority of the time, you're doing work. You're getting up early, going to bed late. You're making calls when you don't feel like it. You're doing work that somebody else was supposed to do but didn't do, but got to get done, right? So now you got to delegate or do it yourself. You're studying to stay ahead of the game. Make sure you know your terrain and you know your enemy. You're preparing for whatever's coming up. You got events, all of this. So I'm trying to let people know, yeah, there's times where there's a little bit of rabbit in leadership, but I'm going to be honest with you. Most of it is turtle. So if you're looking to get into leadership because you want to be a rabbit, again, you're in the wrong field. They got comedians for you. They got dancers, entertainers. That's what you need. That's not
So
leadership.
what are some of the other topics in the chapters that we can look forward to
Other
in the
things
new
we
book?
got, my brother. I think. Let me think now. We have. We talk about morale. We talk about vetting. What leadership is and what isn't. We talk about the thinking of a leader. That leaders are not better than people intrinsically. They're not born better than nobody, but they think different from other people for sure. Leaders don't entertain the idea of can't or what's impossible. Now, the leader might say, "Yeah, we could raise enough money to get a ticket to go on the white man's spaceship to go to the moon or to Mars, but is that the best use of our labor, time, and money? No." That's how a leader would think. But they would never say, "No, we can't." They say we can do whatever we organize to do. But I don't know if that's what we should be organizing to do. We got all these people starving, going to prison, getting miseducated, and homeless, right? So we talk about the thinking of a leader. Leaders expect to win. You feel me? Like leaders,
Definitely.
they have a plan. They expect to be successful. They don't. "Ah, what if it doesn't work?" No, leaders say, "Oh no, we don't." Yeah, it's gonna work. Of course, it's gonna work. They know in the back of their head there's a chance that stuff could go wrong, but that is a confidence they exude, and that confidence is attractive to other people. It magnetizes people. They say, "Wow, she seems to believe in this so much. It's contagious. I'm believing in it." Right? So you think of an honorable Elijah Muhammad or a honorable Marcus Garvey, like the sheer daring to be so confident to be able to say, "Up, you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will. I don't give a damn if you don't have a lot of money. I don't care if you're real dark and you think that means you ugly. I don't care if your hair is straight and you think you got to do that. I don't care if you was told you was deaf, dumb, and blind and that's all you ever gonna be." He said, "I see something in you." He said, "I came here and I looked around. And I said, man, where is the black man's army? Where's the black man's businesses, government?" And he said, "I didn't see it." So I said, "I'm going to help to put it there." Now the small-minded in our community who looked at him, he's arrogant.
Mm.
No. He loved himself and loved his people. And he dared to think outside the parameters that were set on us by white folk. That we shouldn't love ourselves, that we shouldn't be confident, that we shouldn't feel, whatever we set our mind to organize around and study, we can do.
Definitely.
So it's crazy. It's like it's a lot of these leaders are accused of being arrogant. Some of them are, and sometimes though I don't think it's so much that they're on a high horse. I think a lot of times people in our community are on low ponies. They're not used to seeing that type of power coming from other human beings. They use it, let's see if we can get enough money for the blunt or for the liquor or for the party. This person's talking about, let's see if we can get enough money to put up a building. That's powerful. Or to have a fleet of ships. That's powerful. What were you gonna say, my brother?
Now I was gonna say, is it in your opinion incumbent upon leaders to come up with solutions?
Oh, brother, that's one of the things I forgot to say when we do the first chapter, leadership is, leadership ain't. I give this acronym. It's a graphic. It's an acronym. Each letter of the word leadership standing for things, and certainly problem solving is one of the key pieces of a leader. If an organization is not trying to solve some type of problem in the community or help the community solve its problem itself, then it's misguided. And if it solves no problem, it's useless. It's either misguided or useless. There is no organization in existence that is not concerned with making something better.
Mm.
Even if there's an organization where I live on a block, they put plants in the different parts of the block. That's what they do. In their mind, though, they're beautifying the neighborhood. And that's what they do. That's the way they attack the problem of this is, inner city and it's ugly. So we're going to put flowers here. They're solving a problem. That's how they see it. Every organization should be looking at itself as the community we reside in is better because we're here. And if your people are not better from your presence, if problems are not getting solved, and the problems don't always have to be the largest thing, like we getting every brother political prisoner out of jail tomorrow. No, that's not going to happen. Not by tomorrow. But if you see you have large parts of the community that don't have knowledge of self, don't know the history, right, and things of that nature, and you come and you're bringing them knowledge, then you're helping to solve a problem. If you see that there's a lot of homelessness and vagrancy in the neighborhood amongst your people, and you have some type of a organization that helps them, you're solving a problem. If you see violence amongst the young people, or they're dropping out of school and getting in street organizations or whatever, and you develop an after-school program and an African-centered curriculum that kind of captures their mind and heart and brings them back home and gets them an entrepreneurial spirit, industrious spirit, you're solving a problem. So that's what I mean. All organizations have to, and leaders are always thinking about solving problems. And the very best leaders, if you think about it, are always solving problems. They're the people. If people want to know who the leaders are, one way to do it is don't go and look at in the newspaper, because sometimes you're gonna look at another chapter in the book. You may find the neo-colonial leaders in the newspaper, the ones that say they're working for you, but they're working for the white man and getting paid by him, right? But the leaders are often the people that are always, people are calling them, asking, I don't know, what do you think I should do? Or people are saying, hey man, could you help us with this? Or sister, you're really good with this. Could you do this? What do you think we should do? People are constantly coming to them because why? The person has proven over time they're good at solving problems. So yes, sir, absolutely.
Okay. Now to me it sounds like the book is not just for leaders, but it seems like anybody can benefit from this book, whether you aspire to be a leader or not. Is that true?
My brother, I would say it's true. In fact, let me tell you what our brother Walimu Bomani Baruti, the co-founder of the Akobin Institute, along with his wife, Mama Ya Baruti, in Atlanta. This is what he wrote. He's about the book. He said, this is a warrior's guide to leadership, for it well communicates what should be the standard for those who guide us in the practical visionary work our community needs by example. Without question, it is an invaluable thinking resource in the proper ways of leadership for warriors. Whether they see themselves as fulfilling leadership roles or not, warriors should study this work. So speaking of what you just said, yes, sir, I would agree with him. I think I wrote it for people in leadership, people who aspire to leadership, and people who are in organizations or in communities who want to get involved. They don't know where to begin. They maybe have some self-doubt. They don't know what leadership is about, or they have let's say a false idea of what leadership is about. It's for all of those people. And
go ahead.
You said, okay, I'm able to manipulate the computer now.
Oh, got it. Okay.
It also showed the thing of unity without uniformity, proper people placement. Very important to leadership. You ever see sports teams that have these enormous budgets? They seem to have all superstars in the team, and they can never win a championship. And wondering, well, how is that possible? They got some of the best players. They got all the budget. They got good coaching. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes it could be because they got good people in the wrong place. Like maybe this person shouldn't be your shooting guard. Maybe they should be your forward. Maybe this person should be the point guard. And maybe this person should be the center, right? In other words, they got the right people in the wrong place. And it's just like chess. All those pieces move a certain way, but they also are more powerful in certain places on that board. The bishop along in the corners is powerful. The knight in the middle, because of how the knight jumps in the L shape, is powerful. But you put the knight on the edge of the board, the knight can't do anything. The rook, if you have it along these long corridors, powerful. And the queen, of course, can do all of that. So the queen is almost always powerful. But the key with leadership and organizing is you want to The leader wants to develop the ability to read people, to see where people fit, to see what turns them on, to see, are they good with people? Are they good with objects, fixing things? Are they good with speaking in front of people? Do they follow instructions? Can they make their own decisions without someone telling them what they got to do and holding their hand? The leader's figuring that out and trying to put people not where the leader wants them to be, but where they believe they will be the most effective, where they believe they set them up to succeed. Good leaders set people up to succeed, and the more challenged leaders set people up to fail. And so we talk about that proper people placement. We talk about the sins of omission in the community and leadership, not the things we do that are wrong, the things we fail to do that are right, and making sure we don't commit these sins of omission in our organizations. We talk about 5 challenging types of people, not just in the community, but that are in your organization, most likely, or that you're going to run into, and how you kind of deal with these people. Evaluating your leadership, a bunch of questions that the leadership team can go through, the board can go through, or the general body members and community members can answer these questions. And by the time you go through that process, you'll have a really good understanding of where your organization stands, how effective or efficient you are at what you do or what you say you do. We talk about the difference between preferences and prerequisites, neo-colonial leadership and what it is and how you can determine what a neo-colonial leader is. Who is a neo-colonial leader? You know, this is the person that got an organization. They always getting money. They always getting the grants, brother. They got 3, 4, 5 headquarters in the city. And some of the other organizations is bad. They fighting to get one little hole in the wall. This person got all types of stuff. So easy. You're like, wow, how did they get all these resources so quickly? It's so easy. They're real cozy with the mayor. They real cool with the police department. You start noticing some things. When there's a rally and everybody is banging on the mayor and banging on the police, this one is giving we can't, be too hard on the mayor.
Right.
Because they're working for them. These are the people Malcolm talked about, the Negro leaders. And they exist, and they're in every city and state in this country, and they're all over the world. They are there to misdirect true radical change, revolutionary change. They're there to give the appearance that the white man has gone away, but he's still there because they are there. They are his appendage. They're like his arm and his hand doing his dirty work in his absence. Just like in Africa when they had the African independence movement, and we kicked all the crackers out of the different countries, and we put up our flags and had celebrations, and we was free, and didn't realize that he put people in place in this new government that worked for him. So these were the neo-colonial leaders. So we talk about them because those people have to be outed. Everybody want to out people that's gay and people that's, who we need to be outing for real, because our lives depend on it, is these people who are getting money and title and position, right? And they are not working on our behalf, but they say they are. They have to be exposed and at very minimum exiled from our community. There's people who I shall not name who are known government informants for decades. And they're still all up in the community, highly revered, charge big sums of money to come. When Pookie gets shot and this person comes in to help the family, they charge them big sums of money. They're supposed to be banging on the corporation on behalf of the people, right? And they come out of meetings with the corporation with a book deal from the corporation.
or a television show.
For real? See, these are neo-colonial leaders. And for some weird reason, some of us can't let them go. Like, we keep supporting them. And we have to get to a place politically where we're able to say, you're exiled. This means you're not welcome in the hood. We're never calling you. You're not getting paid off of us. We're not buying your books. So beat it. And this will send a tone to people that we take ourselves seriously. If people really want to understand this in another way, think about Jewish people. Think about Whoopi Goldberg. What happened with her on what's it, The View, The Voice?
Whatever.
Right?
Right.
Think about what happened. For the little things she said, think about what happened to my brother wearing the turban, Nick Cannon. For the little things he said about the Jews and all the heat he went through, all the apologizing and tap dancing and break dancing and boogieing he had to do to get back on the air to get his check. Just think of what they set a tone. They set such a tone. People don't even want to talk about it. Right? We talk around it because they let it be known that we coming for you if you come out of pocket with us. If we even think that you're trying to be funny with us. Right? So it's kind of like we need, not to that extent with them, because sometimes I think it's a little much, but we have to start taking ourselves more seriously and making our community take themselves more seriously and making anyone that means us harm take us more seriously. You know, we also talk about maintaining archives. You know, keep the history of your organization. You should have a historian or archivist taking pictures, doing video, recording your stuff, saving it, putting it on a cloud, putting it in a flash drive, a portable hard drive, so that future people can see what y'all did and can build on what you did. You know, you can prove you existed. You know, so many times we do things and we don't even record it. So it's almost like, you know, we can't even prove we were here on Earth and we existed. So that's important. We talk about how to do that. Talk about poise under pressure, what poise is and how we develop poise. That leaders are not the ones you're going to see breaking down, complaining, oh my God. And the leaders think, okay, what's the issue? All right, what's the resources we got? And they putting it together, working with the people to come up with a response when everybody else is bugging out. I give us the story I always liked as a child, and whereas I'm not Christian myself, knowledge is knowledge and truth is truth. So I take it from wherever I see it. And there's a parable about Jesus, whether he was real or not is besides the point. But hear what I'm saying, those watching. Supposedly, Jesus is on a boat with his disciples, and a great storm comes. The sky is black, the water's getting all high. The disciples are bugging out. Oh my God, we're gonna die. Jesus, wake up, Jesus. How you gonna sleep at a time like this? Jesus is knocked out, yo. So he wakes up. He's like, yo, what's wrong? He's like, you don't see the storm? We're gonna die. Do something. Oh my God. And so he says, ye of little faith. I've been doing all this teaching, modeling for you, and you just rely on me. So he just goes, stands up, looks out to the water and says, peace, be still. And the storm stops. Now, of course, I believe this is an allegory. But in this sense, Jesus is like how leaders are. The disciples are like how the people tend to be sometimes. They panic. They get dramatic. They make the situation worse, right? Instead of de-escalating, they escalate it. And the leaders say, oh, chill. We got this. We got everything we need. We can get past this. Just relax. And they put a plan together. They may not say peace, be still, but they may, raise money. I saw when I was at Syracuse University, when I was president of our Black Student Union, we brought Farrakhan in, this is one of two times back then, to speak. And that was a big deal back then because you had groups like the Jewish Defense League would come with guns and do armed pro. It was a big deal, really big deal. And I had my credit card to hold the room for him. The university messed up the money. They were supposed to have taken care of the hotel. They didn't. So I had to take my credit card to hold the room, and they needed more money. So the ministers from all over the East Coast were there. And what they did was so impressive to me, man. I was like maybe 19, and I was like, wow. The brother said, brothers, come. The brothers got in a circle. Said, brothers, The young brother gave us using his car, but we need more money. We need exactly this amount of money. Brothers, I need you to dig deep right now until we get that money. So it was like 10 of them, 15 of them, and they got that money up. He counted that money out. We $10 short. Got that money and went right to. He said, "Here, brother." Gave it to me. Paid the thing. That was so impressive. That little thing. It was no, oh my God, the minister ain't gonna have nowhere to stay. It was calm and serene and poised, and the cities, but just handle that business. That's how leaders are supposed to be. And if they're doing their job, they're supposed to be teaching those around them to be that way. So if that parable is deep, because you get the sense Jesus was pissed off with him. He's like, yo, I can't get a nap. Y'all can't handle that. I doing all the miracles. I'm teaching y'all the recipe, the special sauce. Why you're supposed to be doing what I do, right? He's kind of like, come on. So that's like leaders are trying to share that special sauce, that recipe, the blueprint with the community, so that when calamity comes, they're not all looking to him, to the leader. They all are acting as leaders, right? Because they're empowered to do the same thing that the so-called leader does. We got 9 rules of emotional intelligence, man. We got grassroots organizing tips based on COINTELPRO, the danger of hyper-localized organizing. Man, we got a lot, man. This book is chock full, for real.
That sounds good, brother. So one last question before we have to unfortunately let you go, because our hour is up.
Yes, sir.
How can people get the book?
Well, starting on 2/22, 2 more days, I believe that's Tuesday, right?
Tuesday?
Yes. Starting on Tuesday, you can get the book at Amazon.com or wherever books are sold. So you either go to Amazon.com, type in my name, Agyei Tyehimba, AGYEI TYEHIMBA, or you can type in the name of the book, Leadership, Philosophy, Ethics, and Practice, and you can buy it there. Or if you go to your local library or bookstore, you can ask them to order said book, and they will order it for you.
So AJYETYE.
It's AGYEI.
I'm sorry, AGYEI. That's correct.
Yes, sir.
AGYEI.
And then the last name is TYEHIMBA.
Got it. I want to make sure people get that. And what about social media? If people want to ask you more questions or continue the conversation, is there any social media you might want to give out?
Thank you for that question. Yeah, they can hit me up on Facebook. Again, you just type my name. You can also type in Harlem Liberation School. You can type in my other social media brand is Black Liberation University, right? And either of those means you can get right to me, and the information is posted all along that.
Okay. So yeah, we're gonna hopefully direct people to you so they can follow up with you.
Definitely appreciate it.
Look to get this book on Tuesday, man. I'm gonna order mine on Tuesday, so
all right.
I will have it, but we're gonna definitely want to bring you back so that we can have a round table to talk about leadership. We wanted to put you on the spotlight now because you got new work and it's on the subject of leadership. So that's ironic that the next talk was going to be on leadership. So when I do get that together, maybe in a month or so, we definitely want to bring you back with a panel so we can continue to expound on some of these ideas.
Would love that. I would love that.
Nice. So much thank you, brother, for being here. I want to salute DJ Tiger and Full Blast Radio for giving us the time. And we will definitely see you again next time.
All right,
brother.
Peace, family.
Peace, brother.